One of the most powerful countries on Earth technically shouldn't exist. Not because it lacks money, influence, or intelligence, but because nature never planned for it to survive. Large parts of the Netherlands sit below sea level, exposed to storms that could erase entire cities in a single night. The ocean is always nearby, always pressing, always waiting. In many places, the only thing separating daily life from disaster is a wall of concrete and steel. And yet, this small, flat country quietly dominates global trade, food production, and even the technology that powers the modern world. That kind of power isn't accidental, and it definitely isn't natural. It's engineered, piece by piece, generation by generation, decision by decision. But here's the part most people miss. The same systems that made the Netherlands unstoppable are also the ones that could bring everything crashing down. Because when power is built instead of inherited, it only lasts as long as the system's holding it together. More than a quarter of the Netherlands lies below sea level. If humans stopped intervening tomorrow, large parts of the country wouldn't slowly flood. They'd disappear. This isn't some distant climate nightmare or worst-case scenario. It's a present-day reality. At high tide, the ocean is already pushing against barriers that protect millions of people while they sleep. Every storm tests the same question: will the defenses hold this time? For centuries, the Dutch have treated water like an enemy that never rests. They drained lakes, redirected rivers, and carved land out of swamps and open sea. Entire cities, highways, and airports now sit on ground that simply didn't exist a few generations ago. This obsession with control led to the Delta Works, a massive network of dams, storm surge barriers, dikes, and gates designed to withstand floods so extreme they're expected only once every 10,000 years. It's studied worldwide as one of the greatest engineering achievements in human history. But there's a brutal truth hiding behind the success. None of this is permanent. The pumps can't stop, the barriers can't fail, the maintenance never ends. Because the moment those systems break down, the ocean doesn't negotiate. It takes everything back. And while mastering water kept the Netherlands alive, survival alone doesn't explain how this country became so powerful. What truly changed its fate was what the Dutch learned to control next. The Netherlands didn't become powerful by being big. It became powerful by placing itself where the world has no choice but to pass through. At the center of that strategy sits the port of Rotterdam, a place that doesn't just move cargo, but quietly dictates how Europe functions. Every day, massive ships unload raw materials that are immediately pushed inland through rivers, rail lines, highways, and pipelines reaching deep into the continent. From Rotterdam, goods can reach Germany, France, Switzerland, and beyond faster and cheaper than almost anywhere else on Earth. That efficiency turned the Netherlands into Europe's main gateway, even though it produces far less than what flows through its borders. But listen to this. Speed and scale are only part of the story. Here's the trick most people overlook. The Dutch don't just trade goods, they trade position. Crude oil comes in, refined fuel goes out, food arrives, high-value products leave. On paper, it looks like routine trade. In reality, it's leverage built into infrastructure. This single port helps sustain an economy that exports more than countries many times larger, quietly making huge parts of Europe dependent on Dutch systems working perfectly every single day. But controlling trade is only one layer of Dutch power. The next one is even more surprising because it comes from a country with almost no land to spare. The Netherlands is one of the largest food exporters on the planet. That statement shouldn't make sense until you look closer. This is a country with very little usable farmland, yet it ships massive amounts of vegetables, meat, and agricultural products around the world. The secret isn't scale, it's precision pushed to the extreme. Instead of spreading outward, the Dutch went upward and inward. Huge portions of their agriculture take place inside sealed greenhouses where light, temperature, water, and even carbon dioxide are tightly controlled. Crops grow year-round, protected from weather, pests, and unpredictability. 1 acre of Dutch greenhouse farming can replace 10 acres of traditional farmland while using only a fraction of the water. That level of efficiency didn't come from luxury, it came from fear. During the final winter of World War II, tens of thousands of people in the Netherlands starved. The country learned a lesson it never forgot. Food security isn't optional, and efficiency is survival. Today, Dutch companies dominate the global seed market, engineering plants to grow faster, resist disease, and deliver extreme yields. Some of these seeds are so valuable they're worth more per kilogram than gold. But even with food, the Netherlands is still only warming up, because its most dangerous advantage isn't something you can eat. In a quiet Dutch town called Veldhoven sits a company most people have never heard of, yet the modern world cannot function without it. ASML builds machines so advanced that no other company and no other country has been able to replicate them. These machines create the most advanced computer chips on Earth, the kind that power artificial intelligence, smartphones, advanced weapons, data centers, and entire economies. But here's where it gets crazier. The process depends on extreme ultraviolet light, or EUV. It's so difficult to generate and control that for years, experts believed it might never work. ASML kept going anyway. It spent billions, failed repeatedly, and refused to quit while competitors gave up. Eventually, it succeeded. Today, if you want to manufacture cutting-edge chips, you need ASML's machines. There is no alternative, no shortcut, no backup supplier waiting in the wings. That single fact turned the Netherlands into a global gatekeeper. Every major chip maker, from Asia to the United States, depends on technology that only the Dutch can provide. And once you control something this important, staying neutral becomes almost impossible. The moment ASML became essential, the Netherlands was pulled into a fight it never asked for. On one side stands the United States, determined to keep advanced chip-making technology out of Chinese hands. On the other is China, racing to secure the tools it needs to compete in artificial intelligence, military systems, and long-term economic dominance. The Dutch government sits directly in the middle. Allowing sales to China risks angering allies and shifting the global balance. Cutting China off entirely risks retaliation and pushes Beijing to pour unlimited resources into creating its own rival technology. That's the paradox of monopolies like this. They create power, but they also create pressure. As long as ASML remains unmatched, the Netherlands holds the keys. But the moment another country cracks the same technology, that advantage could disappear overnight. And while global pressure keeps rising, the Netherlands faces growing problems much closer to home. For decades, the Netherlands funded its rise with natural gas pulled from beneath its soil. The Groningen gas field became one of Europe's most valuable energy discoveries, powering homes, industries, and government expansion. But there was a cost. As gas was extracted, the ground began to shift. Small earthquakes cracked foundations, damaged homes, and slowly eroded public trust. What once symbolized prosperity turned into a national controversy, forcing the government to shut production down. At the same time, housing shortages continue to worsen. Land is limited, demand keeps rising, and expanding further into water-vulnerable areas grows more controversial with every passing year. Hovering over everything is climate change. Sea levels rise, storms intensify. And defences that once felt invincible now require constant upgrades just to keep pace. The Netherlands was built by engineering its way out of danger. Now it has to keep engineering just to remain standing. Which brings us to the final question. The Netherlands mastered water, trade, food, and technology by refusing to accept limits. When nature, geography, and size worked against it, the country engineered solutions instead of excuses. That mindset transformed a flood-prone river delta into one of the most influential countries on Earth. But this power comes with conditions. Everything has to keep working. The pumps can't stop. The barriers can't fail. The monopolies can't slip. The alliances can't break. Because when a country's strength is engineered instead of natural, it has to be defended every single day. So the Netherlands leaves the world with a question it may soon have to answer itself. Is this the blueprint for the future, or a warning about how fragile modern power really is? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you've made it this far.